What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNV Drivers Edition, and today I got another hot topic for you. So many of you asked me what's been going on. I am out in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. But what am I doing in Phoenix, Arizona? Well, a lot of you that have been close and following the channel has asked me what's going on with the whole Zeus fiasco, and honestly, it's been quite interesting. So I feel like I had to come out and tell you guys what's going on to keep you locked in. This has been quite a turn of events, and because of that, I feel like this might end up being a long video, so I'm gonna try to break this into a couple of parts. So this is part one, because I got to get you all caught up so you can truly understand my frustrations. But I'm not even gonna say frustrations. I want you to understand what's going on behind the channel so I can get your opinion, your lock-in, and so forth, and we can talk about where we headed next. So part one, let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna just sit back right here for a second and start this whole conversation. This is the rental car. It's a nice day. It's snowing in Chicago, so I'm gonna sit out here and enjoy the sunlight. It's a beautiful 68 degrees, and I say beautiful 68 because when you left 23 degrees, 68 seems like I should really be outside in some shorts. But let's get past all that. It's me, Show, ICNV Drivers Edition. Your first time tuning in, lock in with your boy. This is a channel for car enthusiasts, people that love to drive cars, make you turn your head, that aren't your everyday people movers. But we're also an interactive community, which means if you reach out to me on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I will do my best to respond. If the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. Now, there has been a lot of ruffling going on, a noise being made by the C8ZR1. Those videos are coming. Actually, they might even come out before this one. But I got to get you caught up. So back in November, I said I was going to move Zeus. That thought process has not changed for me. It's just become a harder process than I actually thought. Originally, I was setting out to move Zeus for possibly a Mercedes AMG GT or even a Porsche Carrera or Carrera S. Well, the purpose of me getting rid of Zeus and not just riding them out, so you understand, is at this point I feel like the difference in the car note, because I brought Zeus at the incline of over market MSRP payment range, so I did pay more than MSRP for Zeus. And because of that, which hasn't been a terrible situation through the length of my car ownership, but there are months that are worse than others. So back in October, for me to move Zeus was not a hard situation. We're talking about like a $4,000 swing, depending on the dealership, maybe even $3,000 to get out of Zeus versus negative equity. So when I started making that move, I was looking at, like I said before, the AMG GT from Mercedes and the Porsche Carrera S. Interesting color. But anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. So the point behind all that was I went out and looked at a couple cars. I really didn't like the feel of the AMG GT S. So I went to the Porsche Carrera S, which I really don't feel like I'm a Porsche owner, but what I started to realize is I didn't really want a 2016 Porsche Carrera S. I would prefer a 2020 Porsche Carrera. I just like that one with the up-to-date technology more better. But if I was to get something like a GTS or a turbo, which I started heavily drifting down the path of a Porsche turbo, I wanted like a 2017, 2018, or a 2019. I found a couple 2017 turbos, not Turbo S's, but turbos I could actually afford. But then I start to go down this path of the reason I was getting out of a C8, the reason why I was looking to get out of Zeus wasn't because I didn't like Zeus. It was to cut back on the cost of what I was paying monthly, because the goal is ultimately, and I guess I can share to the goal was ultimately to get into a nicely equipped C8 Z06 or a McLaren GT. I think that is going to be my really next decent sized purchase for a sports car. It's going to be one of the two, unless I can find a 720S that works. But I think the McLaren GT or a Z06 will be my next harsh sports car venture. So I felt like if I bought the turbo, I wasn't saving anything but maybe $100 and something off a monthly payment, and going into a turbo would definitely be a 4-year commitment, possibly 5. And I just didn't see myself wanting to own the out-of-date technology on a Porsche turbo from 2017, 2018, 3 to 4 years from now. 18 months, yes, but I couldn't trust or take advantage of or believe that the value in the car would still be there to get up out of it. I'm not going to tell you I've made some bad decisions when it comes to value on cars in the past, but that was my thought process. So if I'm focusing on that, I kind of fell off of that, and in the midst of car shopping for those cars, I started to see other options. Well, I stumbled my way into a Range Rover and the Mercedes S-Coupe S63 AMG, looking at Porsche Carrera S. And I think it reignited my love with Range Rover. So I started looking at Range Rovers, which is kind of crazy. But I was just like, maybe I go into an SUV, buy one of those on the cheap end, so about like a 2017 Range Rover, get a V8 version, and get a nicely equipped truck. You know, the 19 speaker sound system, you know, heated front seats in the back and the front, maybe some massaging seats, but I think I was more focused on finding one that could park itself, just because that's a niche, and it would be something I think would be interesting to make a video on, showing you guys how that feature works. So I went along that path, right? And heading down that road, I found a couple Range Rovers. I found the one I should have bought, which is this white one. Now, the funny part about the white one is sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. Let's take a quick break, and do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 2,500 subscribers. We're chasing the movement. Be part of it. Join the channel, especially if you like the content you've seen so far. We have more stuff like this coming your way, and you too can help guide the focus of the content that comes your way. So subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Now, here's the dilemma I started to face, because I really like the Range Rover, but I felt like it might not have enough performance for me to enjoy the community that I so harshly dwell in, or should I say the community that I constantly find myself lingering in right now. So the S63 AMG became more of my focus. But instead of making that purchase or that move forward, I started going heavily into S63 AMG coupes. And I found a couple, but what I really started to realize is many of them had issues. And when I say issues, it's not like Mercedes built a bad car, but the upkeep on the car wasn't the best or well maintained. And it's kind of crazy because there were more S63 AMG coupes that I came around that typically are better in better conditions than Range Rovers and have less historical failures like Range Rover, don't have the stigma of being a bad car like the Range Rover. But what I kept coming across was cars that were owned by someone that wasn't taken care of. And that became my hurdle. So after going down this path, I want to say 6 to 7 weeks, stumbling across 3 to 5 cars I really liked in a price range I could afford, only to be, I would say, disappointed by the condition of the overall car, I decided to go back to the Range Rover. Come back to the dealership, we started talking about it. They dropped the price some, and when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make the deal, somebody put a deposit on the truck. Ultimately, the truck sold, and I was heartbroken. So in the midst of this truck selling, I started looking for another one, because I had convinced myself if I can get a Range Rover for the right price, I can pay it off in 20 months to 3 years. based off what I was paying on the Corvette. And based off that value, I can own a truck. So I was looking something with a mileage around 40,000 miles, no more than 50, and that range that I can keep for 4 years and give myself a nice alternative to drive in the wintertime and to switch from my sports car to a nice luxury truck. Because for those of you that don't know, I love luxury more than I do performance. That's why every time I get something with performance, it has some form of luxury features attached to it. So that Range Rover sold. I went through a whole process of starting looking for other Range Rovers. So what happens in the midst of all this is during one of my ventures to find a Range Rover, because like I said, I was looking for this parking features of park itself so I can at least have a video to show the niche of that on my channel. I stumbled across a Range Rover autobiography by accident. And I say by accident. So as I go down this path with the Range Rover autobiography, it has an amazing sound system. So now I'm like, I gotta have this sound system. So I started to do a little bit more research, and I discovered that the Range Rover autobiography comes with a 29 speaker sound system. After hearing the 29 speaker sound system, the 19 speaker sound system sounds like child's play, and the base 13 speaker system that comes with the Range Rover, you have to laugh and say, what is this? So now I find myself looking at autobiographies. In the midst of all of this, I get reached out to by Allstate to switch my insurance from State Farm. Now, I'm trying to figure out how to Allstate get my information. So I end up going to the Allstate office because they made me such a great deal to change my insurance. I had to make sure this wasn't a scam. So I go in to change my insurance, and lo and behold, when I get to the office, what I come across is the Allstate office is inside of a dealership. This is a whole nother different stance that we can talk about in another video. But as I'm waiting to talk to the Allstate agent, I'm looking at a regular Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT 8. Don't you love it when small cars have loud exhausts? But anyway, so I'm looking at a regular SRT 8, but this thing is so clean with TVs in the headrest and so forth, and it has the suede inserts in the seats. I'm like, wow, I could do one of these. Now beforehand, I had capped myself at a budget of 40 grand for this Range Rover I was going to purchase. But I'm looking at this SRT 8, and remember, these things come with like 425, 450 horsepower, somewhere on those lines. So I'm like, the Range Rover has 518 horsepower. Now I feel like, saw the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and that put me down this path of looking at performance SUVs. Now, as crazy as this may seem, let's pause right here, pick it up in the next video, because like I said, I don't want to steal too much of your time, because this is probably going to end up being like a 30-40 minute conversation. So let's just say this. Do you think a Range Rover would be the way to go for replacing Zeus as an add-on to my garage, and the in-between between like an 18 months to 20 month span from me going to my next sports car? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like performance over luxury? Let me know in the conversation below. I promise you, tune in for part 2, because it's going to get more interesting, and you got to hear the rest of this. ICNV Driver's Edition. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver's Edition community. We are an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I will do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. But don't forget, this is also a community of car enthusiasts that love to drive cars to make you turn your head and aren't your everyday people movers. So if you're one of those people, lock in, subscribe, and hang out with your boy. But as always, we were made in his image and given dominion over the world. So we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, never ever give up, and embrace your own identity. It is okay to be unique. He's not done with you, and he's definitely not done with me. So stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in these streets